So in order to achieve AI governance, the best approach is to have this governance built into the system, or as it says it right here, to have it by design. One way to do that is to have a framework which is built of 5 main pillars. I will go briefly over these 5 pillars in this slide, and then I will go into the details of each one of these pillars after that. The first pillar is the data governance. Now, data governance, as it's described here, is referring to the tasks that a typical data engineer is already familiar with, but it also goes beyond that. So a classical data engineer, for example, usually enforces quality gates, usually checks the quality of the data, checks for null values, checks for missing or inconsistent data, the lack of using standard terminology, and so on and so forth. So that is definitely part of the data governance that you need for having AI governance down the road. In addition, you will need the data lineage. Data lineage, you can think of it as the story of a piece of information from the beginning to the end. It starts with a row in a table in a Postgres database, or maybe a row in a spreadsheet in some data lake, both running on, for example, the Microsoft Azure cloud. And it will end all the way until it gets to be a piece of information that was used to assess a prompt, for example, or it will make it all the way until it becomes an answer at the prompt that is provided to the end user. So this is what lineage is. As an end user, I have the right to ask, where did this piece of information come from? I have the right to know what part of the answer that I received was influenced by this particular row, or, as I mentioned, table in a database, and so on and so forth. So this is the first part, the data governance. The second pillar is the model governance. And here we are talking about the AI model itself. We should keep track of the model that we have fine-tuned. We should give it a version, and this version is saved in what's known as the model card. Now, this is immutable, meaning that at any point in time, I should be able to get back to the same version of a model that was used in a particular instance of time. Then the evaluation standards that were used, the bias that was tested for and tracked. With this third pillar, the application shield, what are we doing to protect the integrity of our system? And this works both ways. This works at the input side, at the prompt, and it also works on the output side, whatever we are providing back to the end user. From the input side, you have to, be aware of the prompt injection tactics, and these can come in different shapes and forms. For the output as well, you have to be careful. What are you saying? What are you telling the end user? Are you providing information that's copyrighted or sensitive? And so on and so forth. For the fourth pillar, this is the operational control. And in a tool like, or in a uh, system like Microsoft Azure Foundry, this is more often than not is decided at the hub level, at the topmost level. This is where you decide on the policies, what models are allowed, what models are not allowed, who's allowed to do what. For that, you will be using the role-based access control, which is definitely not specific to AI or AI governance. Neither is the Azure policies. These are basic uh, features, basic services in Microsoft Azure that are used all across the board. Then you have the auditing part and the automated circuit breakers as well. For the fifth pillar, this is where the human in the loop comes in. This is where the human oversight is provided. What are the checkpoints? What are the gates where humans are supposed to interfere? Where humans will have their checkpoint to see what's going on with this model output and model input. So, in a nutshell, these are the 5 pillars for the governance by design framework. More details on each in the following sections.